Yeah, Venerable sisters and brothers, Dhamma friends, today is our 9th day in our retreat, and this time is for the question and answer session. There are written questions available, so I will continue with them, proceed with them. Meanwhile, if there are any other statements or questions or topics, you may please come out with. He will present the questions.
Dear Bhante, please be good enough to explain Sankara Pacchaya Vijnana and Vijnana Pacchaya Namarupa. I understand that there are two explanations to the second line. Thank you.
Specifically regarding the Vijnana Pacchaya Namarupa, it is the most difficult and most complicated issue. So therefore, theoretically we may try, but unless otherwise there's an irreversible change in your consciousness, till that you can't get the touch of it. Therefore, that will happen when you go to the particular vipassana or understanding, because that knowledge is so profound, it is changing the consciousness. So, relationship between the Vijnana and Namarupa, there are many explanations, philosophical, theoretical. They may help to understand a little bit of shades of meanings, nuances, but full understanding definitely will make a revertible change, progress in each and every one. It says that Vijnana is, in order to thrive, Vijnana need external stimuli, sensuous or memories or volition, will, motivations. All these things are helpful for Vijnana to thrive. So therefore, as far as they are there, Vijnana take the mean advantage of it and get the establishment of these things, what you call objects. But when and where it is not available, Vijnana makes its own projections. Okay, we were on the question of the relationship between the consciousness and the Namarupa, name and the form. And if you read the Maha Sutta, the present Buddha, the Gautama, is explaining the profundity of this relationship. And he also find out of these 12 connections, 12 links, this is the most difficult thing to understand. But even then some philosophers, they try to come out with some suggestions. It says that when the Vijnana wanted to thrive upon something, if there are no inflow of the external stimuli, it projects its own one, and based upon that they keep on the game. So it is like looking at a mirror. So you can see the face, it appears like a living one. So therefore the monkey can fight with it. It do not know it is looking at its own mirror and keep on fighting. Whole day they can be occupied. But the human beings, it has been, there are a lot of stories in Sri Lankan folk stories, that whenever the mirror came into being, how much it created problem in the villagers. When they are looking at it, they tend to believe the image is living. So exactly the same thing, ultimately game is going. Just like a monkey looking at its own image, that is the way it happens, and appear like something living inside. But the trick, but the point you have to understand is, whatever the features of the image, it appear like living, but it has no living thing. It is not living, appear like living. So that is how the Vijnana is depending on its own projection. And if you keep the mirror to horizontal, two mirrors, and if you go inside, you will see your own image to the infinitum. So you can amazed. There are some Buddha images prepared like that. it has keep on making images up to the infinitum, and you entertain as if you see something else, but that's your own this thing. So exactly the way the vijnana projecting sometimes Namarupa, name and the form, and ultimately amusing itself. So, specializing on this only basically on this link, Vijnana Pacca Namarupam, there's a one sect in Mahayana, it is called Yogachara or Vinyati Matrata Siddhi. They says whole world is nothing but the projection of your own Vijnana. So when you are happy, you see a happy world. When you become depressed, you see a depressed world. When you are full of loving kindness, you feel the world of full of loving kindness. When you become aesthetic feeling, you feel the world is very aesthetic and colorful. This is what it happened. So therefore, unless otherwise you really understand the non-self characteristic, till that you believe what you see is existing. And what you see is existing you can see. But in the Dvaitanupassana Sutta, the Buddha says, if the commoner, a normal being, say it is existing, that exactly one has to understand in Aryan worlds that is not existing. Whatever the Aryans or enlightened being says something existing, that is not perceivable to the commoners, therefore they don't believe it. So therefore in the sensuous world, Nibbana is not something existing. They only believe the sensuous pleasure, but the Aryans, they find the sensuous things is as nihim, the sunyata, is void. But what is the thing really is the Nibbana, so this is the world. So this is the way, the Vijnana Namarupa projection. And then Sankarapacchya Vijnana, it's a very tricky thing. Our consciousness is completely dependent upon a selected absorption through the filter of the Sankara, volition. So therefore, whatever the thing it is presented, your absorption, your intake is filtered through the Sankara. So therefore, if your Sankara is misbehaving, all your Vijnana is getting only that sorted out Vijnana as information. So therefore, even if you touch it, even if you see it, even if you do any kind of a contact, that has been filtered through the consciousness, the volition or Sankara. So therefore, your consciousness is a prison inside the limitations of the volitional activities. So therefore, till that you understand that your whole world is normal being considered as a completely existing, concrete and three-dimensional and all the kind of thing. But the moment you understand the functions, the activity of volition, you will understand the consciousness is under the impression it is totality. It is fulfilled, but the consciousness, volition is the one going to give the whole food. Only Vijnana get the filtered one. Therefore, when few people observing the same thing, each and everyone's impressions are quite different. They conceive in perceive in the completely different way. So therefore, ultimately, when they are going to talk each other, it's a hell of a problem. So there had been one king in the olden age. He got the royal elephant to the lawn and asked the blind people to come and touch and interpret. So people who touch the ear, they say elephant is like a winnowing fan. When they touch the leg, they told it is like a motor, vangidiya. Those who touch the tail told it is like a broom. And those who touch the trunk, they told it is like a coconut trunk. So ultimately when put together, everyone says, I am telling about one thing I have touch and see. Touch and experience, how can you say it is something different? So they start arguing. So ultimately it's a good joke for the king, when the blind people touch each other and when they are interpreting the partial truth, exactly the way, as far as our volitional activities, I will use the term sankhara, is functioning, it never sees things as they are. It sees what you wish to see. That is why it says, what you see, that you are. That indicates and wherever you go, there you are. So ultimately, the same world, many people give many interpretations, so much of a communication of problems, because they are getting the information through the filter of the volition. So therefore, volition is completely conditioned by the ignorance. So ignorance conditions the volition, volition conditions the consciousness, consciousness create this form and name, and that is how the game is happening. So therefore it is a completely magic show. When the spectators, audience is observing, they will be amazed to see so much of things, but everything is nothing but a trick. So the moment you see things as they are, you will understand how much partial, how much imperfect, imbalanced, incomplete world we are living in. So we have to first understand in theoretical or book knowledge, and then look at the world in this suspicious way. What we see is not what it is. So that is the only difference in Vipassana. Vipassana never satisfied till you see the total picture. You keep on observing the same, knowing you can see only a partial, part and partial. And for example, if you are observing the moon is rotating around the earth, always facing the same face to the earth. So wherever you look at, it appears like a plate. And after they observed without the boredom, without the monotonous approach, they have observed 40 years, and during the 40 years time, they have seen 5% tiltation within the so much of long time. So before they see this tilting, they have mapped 50% of the moon. But whenever they see the moon is tilting to this way, they can get another 5% here. When it is tilting this way, another 5% here. Now they have 60% after observation of 40 years continuously. So you see, to see the whole moon is still impossible. Because moon is always facing the same to the earth. So exactly the way, whenever you observe the in-breath and out-breath, or walking meditation, rising and falling, whatever may be, our observation are partial. So it is half knowledge. Half knowledge is very dangerous. So within that only the worldly knowledge is going on. So you have to have a null hypothesis. This is truth. But more and more observation, you are going to disprove it. By 95% disproved, you throw away everything. So the game is happening from the avijja to sankhara, sankhara to vijnana, vijnana to namarupa. So each and every step is very trivial, very tricky, very swift. So when and where you see it, as far as you are looking at the object and engage in the object, you are lost. You have to look at the object but be aware of the mechanism of seeing, how it is happening, then it is a completely new thing. This is what we call vipassana. So this is a kind of a impartial explanation of the same thing. So when you are meditating, make it a point, when and where the boredom happens, that is the point you must be very sharp to understand this partial knowledge and the tricky nature of the nature, tricky nature of the self. So if you are going to give up, you will come out with the whole sense of nonsensical interpretation of the phenomena. But if you manage to thrive, then only you can understand how much you are being cut off in natural selection, not to see things as they are, not to see things in totality. We'll go for the second question.
Venerable Bhante, does regular practice of Buddhist meditation have a preventive role in the onset of dementia?
Statement. It's a statement.
Question. Does Buddhist meditation have a preventive role in the onset of dementia?
No, there are no, maybe some research has done for my understanding. There is no such experiment research done on it, and there are no positive relationship found, but maybe it is safe to assume that maybe some the relationship. But I have no undergone any kind of a research articles to say yes directly.
Venerable Bhante, as a member of the Sri Lankan diaspora living in a non-Buddhist community, I would like to know at what age young children could be introduced to Buddhist practice. What should be the content? Gathas, stanzas, or principles of Buddhism?
So during the time of the Buddha, there was a family very poor, and parents died, and children are very young. So then, Venerable Ananta, out of compassion, he asked the Buddha, what about ordaining these children? Then Buddha says, how old are they? They say they are around 6 years. Buddha asked, can they chase away a crow? Yes, then you can ordain. So one team came to Nissarana, Japanese team, and they were admiring, and they say it's very nice system, well preserved, and all the kind of thing. They asked, how do you select the yogis coming in? What is the age? Then I told those who wish to understand by their own initiative, I accept. Never by parents' initiative, never by girlfriend and boyfriend initiative, nothing. The person himself must have the understanding. That is the age you have to give the helping hand. Otherwise, I would say you are baptizing before the child come into the senses. It's a crime. It's the biggest crime in the world. Before the boy come to know is boy or girl, they are baptizing and say the others are heretic. This is only you have to tell. So likewise, we are also going to do that kind of thing. I think we are not keeping the open-mindedness. So therefore, that particular person should have some kind of a tendency to do. And even when it is happening, stanzas and other kind of thing, of course, giving rituals and traditional Buddhism. But I would rather say introduce walking meditation. Definitely that will touchy more than sitting. So you must, when I read Chinnathan, he says when you do walking meditation, let the child hang on your small finger, walk with the child. And he will be asking question and still going up and down. That will be a kind of and you also will be hilarious when you are walking with a child. When you do walking meditation, that is the way you can share. So I would say rather parents must be meditating than thinking about the children. That will be a very direct message, because parents wanted to play helpful and send the children to Nibbana. I don't think you can do it in a remote control system. If the parents are doing, I would say even in the carrying in the womb, they will get the message. If the mother is and the whole household atmosphere is serene, calm and pure, and the developing fetus itself is feeling, and they are accustomed to this vibration. So that must be there. So therefore, the parents has to think little ahead of time, the age where the child is going to come into age and asking for meditation beforehand. Creating the macroclimate, external climate is important, but Buddha says it is, you can't change it, it is already given fact. You can't adjust it. It is Patirupa Desavasa. When you are living in this area where the Buddhism is thriving, you get a chance. Other areas, very difficult for you to create that atmosphere. So it is a given fact. But whenever you have that situation, still if you are not behaving accordingly, then we have to say sorry.
Venerable Bhante, in Chitta Patisamvedi in Anapana Sutta, this state should be with the breath known by the mind, also calm down. In other words, there will be no perception of breath, either physical or mental. Can you please explain? Theruvan Saranai.
Please repeat it.
I repeat, Venerable Bhante, in Chitta Patisamvedi in Anapana Sutta, this state should be with the breath known by the mind, also calm down. In other words, there will be no perception of breath, either physical or mental. Can you please explain?
This is a kind of a change of your perception. At the beginning you see the rubbing sensation and the very gross tactile sensation of the breath. When it is calming down, you try to feel the breath. Something like when you have a wound, very difficult for it is irritating, so if you touch it, very difficult. But the wound is now healed, the scar is there, but still you can feel it. But it's not irritating like when it is cut open. Likewise, you can see the signs, you can see the kind of feeling in the place where the breath was. So likewise, it is becoming more, not more gross, not more tangible with the concrete materiality, but instead you feel the breath like a feeling. It is not going up and down. Instead you maybe see something rotating like, and manners are changed and shapes are changed. But you have a feeling you are not dead. You are a feeling you are not sleeping. And you have a feeling you are not unconscious, that you have a dead sure the breath is there. And you feel, but very subtle. And other one is the perception. You can perceive, your mindfulness is intact. You can feel, there's no sign, gross sign for the breath, but it has been calmed down, but still the mindfulness continues. The concentration is continuing. So therefore you can maintain the posture, and the gross breath is now just enough to give just a feeling and a perception. So you are now try to understand with the language of feeling and perception and familiarizing it. That is the point we say that Chitta Sankara Patisangvedi Asasissamiti Sikkati, Chitta Sankara Patisangvedi Passasissamiti Sikkati. That means you learn the language of feeling and perception. Not only the breath, anything happen, anything sounds, pains, thoughts, everything, you know everything is a kind of feeling, it's a kind of a perception. So see the mechanism, see the language of feeling and perception, and you never get agitated, you try your best to calm down. Even if you feel through, even you communicate through feeling and perception, even if it is a novelty, sometimes it is fearful, sometimes baseless. So therefore, you have to train in such a way to calm down the situation. And then ultimately, these feeling and perception also start to calm down. Not only related with the breath, sounds, all the other things also start to learn the language, start to teach the language of the feeling and perception, and you are not titillated or stirred, calming down, and that is called Passambayankaya Chitta Sankara. That is the second part. So therefore, as if you are learning the body language, you are learning another language. It is universal kind of language that is common for all the human. That language is more basic. So you are going to the feeling and perception. For the first time, whole world become mental, whole world become yet another feeling and perception.
Dear Bhante, if a person's inclination is samatha meditation, when should such person turn into vipassana? Thank you.
Of course, that this is many things. There is a kind of a very concrete decisions, but best thing is to let the mindfulness decide it. When Venerable Jnanarama is checking all all our palm leaf scriptures, he wanted to understand where is the junction, and he found, I think, 16 to 17 junctions, starting from the Upachara Samadhi, access concentration for the first jhana, and then onward up to the 8th jhana. Many junctions are there. So, summarizing everything, Venerable Buddha goes in Visuddhimagga, he says, Saupachara Atta Samapatti, that means starting from the access concentration up to the highest non-materialistic kind of absorption, any place you can go. So it depends on the, the individual taste of the person. It is like you can walk, or you can ride a bike, or you can hire a three-wheeler, or you can go for a Morris Minor car, or Morris Cambridge, or you can go for the Benz. Whatever may be the model, that depends on your taste. But the mode is there, traveling mode is there. And next question is, important one is, who is deciding it, and what is the most efficient junction? That is also depending on the individuals, and if you know theoretical understanding, better. And if you have the idea of understanding in this very life, you will cut short as quickly as possible. You will take the shortest, closest, most junction. Otherwise, you will keep on practicing. So, therefore, very difficult to compare it. It depends on the individual tastes.
Venerable Sir, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha is a statement that seems to contradict the discrimination between wholesome and unwholesome, within brackets Pin Pao. Grateful if you will kindly elaborate.
So Pin Pao, that is called meritorial and demeritorial. It is, you can explain only within this existence. The Pin Pao will never lead beyond the existence. So whatever the Pin or Pao, or good or bad deeds or merits or demerits, help you to be in the samsara in a rich way or poor way. If you have any kind of a desire for samsara, it matters. But if you wish to go away from the samsara, transcendental, it is not applicable. It is to say, when you are traveling in a flying with a flight, and if you see the road system and where huge traffic jam down there, and you see how much people are in the tension in the traffic jam, but you are traveling in 30,000 feet above. It doesn't apply to you, because traffic jam is applicable only for the vehicle going on the ground. But if you are in the different level, you can just see that some people have got trapped, some people are traveling, but you are away. So if you are aiming within, if you are limiting your perspective within the samsara, Pin Pao matters. But if your intention is to transcend it, and the transcendental, this is becoming a Montessori. Just Montessori game. So in the Montessori, there are a lot of marking system and promoting the children and kind of thing. But if you are trying for the university or postgraduate thing, these marking system is not much matter. So therefore, Pin Pao is yes, as far as the religion is concerned. But the Dhamma is always asking you, demanding you to think beyond, see through it, and then you must have sankhara in order to have a comfortable life. But if you are aiming at something transcendental, this becomes less and less valuable, less and less applicable to one's value system.
Dear Venerable Sir, could you compare and contrast this style of Vipassana meditation with other Vipassana techniques? Why do you like this technique? What benefits do you see in communities and countries that have a higher rate of Vipassana meditators? I appreciate your teaching. Some of the Dhamma talks are challenging, but I find them helpful to my practice. I have never heard of this kind of detailed explanation before.
You better read that No, my answer is better read the Madhupindika Sutta. There the Buddha says, don't go for argumenting, don't go for comparison, it's a wastage of time. You have to understand that trying and striving, as far as you are trying, it is utter waste. Strive upon something, then you know at least it is wrong. Then you will be going. But if you are trying, daily you are trying, you have no aim. But striving is completely different thing. My Venerable Jnanarama used to say, when you go to a teacher, when you go to a meditation technique, when you go to a place, before going there you have to of course have some kind of evaluation. Once you go there, believe this is the best. And do your utmost, and then you can master it. After mastering, definitely you will be uplifted. You will be, there may be some better options. But after finishing it, you mastered it and then you can have a better option. But while doing, if you are thinking maybe some other best thing is outside, am I doing correct thing or wrong thing, it's utter wastage of time. So in the normal commoner's world, it's a wastage is unlimited. It is just like consumerization society. How much they are wasting the matters. In the spiritual world, it's a consumerization of the spiritual matters. You feel ashamed. When the chances are happening, people are thinking, am I correct? Oh, this is correct, that is correct, the comparison. So it's a kind of a wastage of all the pure raw materials. Instead, what the best is, before taking up, have a fair understanding, and once you go there, do it both the hands, do it wholeheartedly, never mislead you. And it is not our business to compare other things, because that is not the way. We wanted to get rid of this bloody samsara as soon as possible.
Venerable Sir, thank you for your generosity in responding to these questions. How does one cope with the feeling of regret and remorse that arise with memories of past unmindful actions born out of aversion? These thoughts seem to arise following sitting meditation and sometimes during walking meditation. Thank you.
There's an explanation from the samatha sphere, that means in the concentration. It is giving the relationship with three aspects: thinking, the past, and the remorse. It's a universal truth, not only for the person who raised the question, it is even to the Buddha. If you are thinking, and if you know it is a past, always it is a regret. It is remorse. Atitanudhavanam chittam vikropanupatitam samadhisya paripanto. That is a stock phrase. Whenever the mind is associating the past, it is always regretting, a remorse. And that is definitely a distraction for your concentration. So you can see when you are in a remorse, when you are in a desperate situation, you can see how true it is. The statement is true. It is not only for you, anyone who is going to the past, that is a regret. And when I give that explanation one day when I was in Melbourne, one girl was protesting. She says that, no, there were very good events in my past life, and when I am remembering it, I was not regretting. I was happy. Then I told, are you promoting your egoistic idea while you are inclined to that kind of past memories? Yes. Then I asked, is it a good thing to egoistically think about your good thing? That may not be good, but I think whatever may be, whenever you go to the past, it is disturbing your concentration, always leading to, in general, regret. So you have to taste it. You have to do it by yourself. Then only you will see Buddha is correct. Even to the Buddha, if you go into the past, is something to be discouraged, something to be regret, remorse. So therefore, it is nothing special for individual. It is a universal truth. If you wish to add more than the Four Noble Truths, you can add that one also into the list and say it is exactly the truth. Wherever you go, as far as the past is concerned, it is it's a remorse.
Most Venerable Bhante, you mentioned that the antidote for the hindrance of doubt is Shraddha and loving kindness for hatred, Vyapada. Please tell us the antidotes for the other three hindrances. Is there ways or techniques to develop these antidotes? Thank you very much.
This is not well taken. You have to take Nissarana, hindrances are 5, and the jhani factors are 5. Jhani factors are the antidote for the Nissaranas. And Kamachanda, the desire, sensuous desire, one-pointedness is the antidote. Vyapada, the hatred, the piti, the rapture is the antidote. Thinamidda, vitakka, applying thoughts is the antidote. Uddachakukkucca, sukha is the antidote. Vichikicca, vichara, the analytical thoughts is the antidote. So, nivaranas are fighting against with these 5 jhanic factors. So, one has to see the relationship with each other.
Venerable Bhante, could you mention again the 4 types of sankhara we come across in the sutras? Also, how we can use it in meditation to cut through, as you said. Thank you. Much merit to you.
Wait a minute. Wait for 2 days. I will till I finish the subject, and then you can go to the cassette and listen. I have to finish it. That is my main aim, to understand the ways it is performing, how can we incorporate into our meditative life. So, the rushing won't help. You have to be patient. Practice as and when happen in the piecemeal basis. Don't go for a full meal at once. Okay, now we have taken almost 55 minutes. 5 minutes are waiting. If there are any other suitable questions or any other statements, we can take. Otherwise, we can go for walking meditation before the 3 o'clock group sitting. Okay, the silence indicates everyone wish to go for walking. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.